The purpose of this presentation tonight is really threefold. One is that I want to update the council on where we stand with funding. Secondly, I want to update the council on work that we've already done and work that we hope to do this year. And then thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, we are going to hear a proposal from the owners of the Fish Whistle that I'm hoping will resolve sort of our situation that we've been talking about with coming to an agreement with the Fish Whistle. If we raise the grade of our bulkheads, what would it take for you guys to come on as full partners in that part of this project? Whenever I talk about the marina, I think it's really, really important for us to stay laser focused on why the town bought this marina. We didn't buy this because we think we can be awesome marina owners that are going to do a better job than Rolf's Wharf or any of the marinas downriver. We bought this marina to preserve public access to the river, to and from the river. So if you're a boater coming to Chestertown, if that marina disappears, you would no longer be able to have anybody come to the town by boat. And also, it's nice for our residents to have a place they can either put a boat or launch a boat. Secondly, we feel that in so doing, that's an important part of our history and culture. We were founded in 1706 as a port of entry, and that's an important piece of our identity, and that was something that makes us different. Thirdly, and I think maybe most importantly, this is, to me, is a huge economic development issue for the town. The marina itself isn't a huge employer. It employs about 6 people, many of which are part-time. But it does drive a lot of business to other people that are big employers, like the Fish Whistle, for example. Right now, in its current configuration, they employ about 70 full and part-time employees. It also brings boaters that spend the weekend and then walk uptown and spend money at our shops, B&Bs, and visit our many other businesses. And these are 2 important factors. The marina was in such a state of disrepair that really a private entrepreneur just couldn't afford to buy that marina when it went on the market, dump the couple $1 million it's going to take to rehabilitate it, and keep operating it as a marina. You'll just never get your money back. So if the town hadn't bought this, what happened at Scotts Point was really the only profitable alternative in the private sector, to turn that into condos, and we didn't think that was a good outcome long term for the town. And lastly, on paper, the town has access to grants that a private business owner simply couldn't get. So that's why we're involved. I think we all know the many improvements. The docks basically need to be gutted and replaced. The slips are very silted in. We're beginning to address that. The whole area floods regularly. The bulkheads need to be completely removed and replaced. On the land side, we talk about moving and centering the boat ramp. We want to improve the parking and the traffic flow through the area. Right now, there's no green space at all down there, and the stormwater just flows directly into the Chester River. And lastly, we see an opportunity to have almost like a waterfront visitor center that also doubles as a marina store. The existing condition of almost all the bulkheads, a whole lot of nothing going on right there. This is our basin that we just dredged after a strong northwest blow, so you can see the siltation there. You can also just see the dilapidated state of really every piling and dock in that whole basin. That's a classic example. If you've never really taken a close look at the docks, they're actually old docks that were built on top of what was supposed to be a temporary fix when Rick Kirby owned this. Ultimately, he was going to replace all this, and then the market crashed and things happened. But those docks are built on top of old docks, and it's just not a good situation there. What have we done thus far? My first year when I took office, we hadn't made very many design. Really, we hadn't made any design choices. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have any engineering work. So in 2014, I know many of you were at the 2 public charrettes that we had, one in May to kind of talk about the issues, one in August to present Macron's engineering plan. We did have a grant to hire Macron to give us a legitimate drawing of what we wanted to do. In 2015, we started hearing concerns from the neighbors really on both sides of the project. Scotts Point was mostly concerned with a walkway in front of their apartments that they weren't real happy about. The Fish Whistle raised concerns about raising the height of the bulkheads. As a result of this, we had a public hearing with MDE in June of 2015. And really that put us back a little bit. It took us about 6 months after that hearing to get permits that we at the time thought we were pretty close to getting. So it was really only last month that we finally got the permits we need to do some of the work that we wanted. So this is the plan. Just to summarize, if you look on the far right, that dock currently ends where those dotted lines are, where Sultana sits on the outside. We talked about turning that into one of the marina docks, extending the T-head and running slips downriver. We talked about taking what is currently 3 docks at the marina and turning them into 2 larger docks. It's important to note that all 3 of these docks extend about 70 feet further than the existing docks end, and the reason that's important is because the water drops off like a cliff where the current docks end. So that 70 feet puts all those new slips in 14 to 18 feet of water. If you do a lot of boating around the Eastern Shore, that's really, really rare. That makes us a unique destination. That's what this marina might look like one day, assuming we pull all this off. I'll start with the disappointing is I know many of you helped in a letter writing campaign to get a line item from the governor's capital budget, and unfortunately, we learned very recently that that campaign was unsuccessful. I think there are several reasons for that. I think the biggest one is that we got a late start. We didn't submit our materials till early December. I think to get that particular funding stream, you got to be getting people's ears in June. I think also you just need to know somebody in the governor's office, which I'm not sure that we're really strong in that department. And frankly, it really helps to have a lobbyist and boots on the ground in Annapolis, which is also a really tough thing for the town to do, and me in particular, since I have a full-time job. I can't be in Annapolis knocking on doors. So that's a disappointing situation, obviously. But we do have some money in the kitty. Very recently, we had always heard from DNR, hey, when you finally get your permits, we have $500,000 for you guys to start the dredging. So we have $500,000 lined up for us, ready to go from the state of Maryland through Maryland DNR. And in fact, about half of that was already spent with the dredging that Bill just alluded to previously. We also have been applying every year to this thing called the Waterway Improvement Fund. Basically, when you buy a boat in Maryland, there's an excise tax that goes into a specific fund that's set aside specifically for projects like ours. Ours is a very ambitious one. Usually it's a boat ramp, and we're going for a whole marina. So since 2014, they've been giving us $200,000 grants. The challenge for us as a municipality is every one of those grants requires a 1-to-1 match. Luckily, for the 2014 grant that we got, we really haven't spent very much of the money we got through the armory purchase. So this year we hope to expend almost $400,000 using the armory money as a match for the 2014 Waterway Improvement Fund grant. And we're hoping that that money will basically allow us to fix the bulkheads and the finger piers and maybe even build a new boat ramp in the basin where we just dredged. And lastly, we do have money for architectural work. We want to build that new Marina Interpretive Center where the Williams Marine Shed is. We have a grant from USDA and a matching grant from the Maryland Heritage Area Authority totaling about $55,000. And we're going to be putting out an RFP very soon for architectural work about what that interpretive center might look like. So we have about $950,000 in grants ready to go. We also have 2 Waterway Improvement Fund grants, one from 2015, and we did find out we got another one this fiscal year. So we have $400,000 in grants where we need to find a 1-to-1 match. So with the money that we have, again with that $500,000 grant, we spend about half of it dredging out the boat ramp basin. There's the dredging going on. The goal was to get that whole basin to a controlling depth of 6 feet, and we think we got really close. We talked about removing the finger piers, so there's that famous picture after the blowout. This is what that basin looked like on Saturday. You can see we removed all those old piers, so that $392,000 I talked about would basically go to fix this bulkheading area and reinsert new finger piers there, which is really exciting. So this is where all the work is going on right now. Why are we focused on this area? Mainly because since I took office, for over 2 years, we've kind of been talking to the owners of the Fish Whistle about, what we would like, really what needs to be done is that the bulkheads need to be raised. The problem with that is the property lines. But before I get to that, where might that match come from? Probably the best lead we have for a big grant is from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It sounds funny. When I think USDA, I'm thinking farms. But they do have a lot of great programs for economic development in rural areas, and they see this as an economic development project. And other potential future funding sources, We had the Waterway Improvement Fund folks come walk the property and said, hey, can we come back to you again in 2016, 17? They're like, absolutely. We're like, could you ever give us more than 200 grand? They're like, there's no limit to what you can ask for. So that's it. Other grants that I know Case Des Moines is looking into have to do with the interpretive center that we want to build. There's a thing called the Maryland Heritage Area Authority. They give grants of up to $100,000. They really love the idea of that interpretive center, and they've given us the green light to apply. There's something called the Sustainable Communities Grant Program through the Department of Housing and Community Development. They give up to 150 grand for things like that. They really like the idea of the interpretive center. USDA can give small grants for construction. And we want to think long and hard. Do we really want to go back for a third round of the capital budget? And if we do, we should start in the spring. We should think about getting a lobbyist or really beating down the bushes to find someone that can get Hogan's ear directly. Lastly, we're not shovel ready yet because we still need to come to an agreement with the fish whistle that works for both parties to deal with what I think is probably the biggest and most ambitious part of this, which is dealing with the flooding. The reason this is very, very complicated is because of the property lines. If you look at the Marina property, please note that funky fish hook along the bottom. We own that strip of bulkheading. The fish whistle owns the rectangle right behind it. And the town owns foot of Cannon Street and all the pink stuff. So anything we do to that bulkhead, here's an overhead view. Anything we do around those red lines to raise that bulkhead directly impacts the fish whistle. So if we did want to raise the bulkheads and they don't want to put in the capital to raise their parking lot, it's an issue because if that ever floods, we just built a duck pond around them, which legally we may not be able to do. Even if they were on board, phasing this work in so that they don't have to shut down for 6 months is obviously going to be a great concern to them. And if they want to come on as full partners and raise their parking lot, that leads to other capital outlay on their part, like building a new entrance to the back of their restaurant, putting their power lines in different areas. So we're basically asking them to come on as partners and invest money that they don't have to invest. So naturally what they've been talking to us about is if we come in with you guys, we would like something in return on our end on the business side. And that gets to where we are. But before I get to where we are, here's some pictures of the flooding. These are all taken within the last 2 years. And if you're not sure how prevalent this was today at 3 o'clock. There's really 3 possible solutions. One is if we just can't come to an agreement with the fish whistle, we could replace the bulkheads at their current height and build a raised boardwalk around the whole area so that the boaters could get on and off the docks without getting their feet wet, but the flooding would continue unabated. We've actually, obviously that doesn't make a ton of sense, and even our funders are saying, we don't necessarily want to fund this unless you go big, because I don't want to fund something that is problematic the day that you finish building. The second possible solution, we did talk to Macron about this, and we've talked about this briefly with the fish whistle owners, is it possible to raise the bulkheads around the fish whistle and basically create like a 12-foot raised walkway around the perimeter, and so they don't have to put out any capital. We can keep everybody's feet dry that want to come to the docks, but then we would need to engineer a solution that allowed drainage through that walkway in the event that a tropical storm or a hurricane overrode the bulkhead. That's a possibility. You can see that it's fraught with engineering complications, and if I was the fish whistle owner, that would be a scary solution for me. And thirdly, in red, which is what I've been kind of trying to work towards this whole time, is there a way to work with these guys to come up with a solution that benefits both parties? So the proposal on the table, and this is where we get into kind of the meat of this discussion, is what the fish whistle has said is, hey, we understand that dealing with the flooding is important. We want a return on our investment. If we come in with you on the backside, would you consider giving us an easement that would allow us to expand our deck, our outdoor seating? It wouldn't need to be a lot of property. Really, we're only talking, and I think you guys might have more specifics, but it's 6 to 8 feet, I think. They're talking about extending their existing deck further towards the dock that you see, and also adding a thinner deck, about 12 feet on the downriver side. So the area in question is this. To me, the reason I've drunk the Kool-Aid, one of the many reasons, is we're not giving up great land. This area, especially on the right, I've been down working there for 25 years. That has never been an attractive space. It's never done anything for anybody. And it's just kind of this weird, gravelly, slimy wasteland. So I just want to give everyone views of the current condition, and I think Max may have other renditions of his. These are all pictures I've taken within the last 2 weeks. So this is the area that we're talking about. This is a view looking downriver from the Cannon Street side. This is a view from the downriver side looking up towards the Chester River Bridge. Remember, in our plans, we show removing that marina store entirely and the fence and moving that whole operation up to the Williams Marine Shed. So there, basically your view would be over an open public plaza to the restaurant. What are the possible benefits of us working together with the town and officials? So one is that this could theoretically, if we had a public-private partnership that everybody signed off on, it could really set the stage for us to go to USDA and go big and make the ask that I think they want us to make. It allows us to address the flooding issue comprehensively, not in a piecemeal fashion. And this is important. We have one restaurant on the waterfront. The more that restaurant is an attraction, the better it is for the marina, and I would argue that the better it is for the town as a whole. Yeah. I'm going to segue over to, if you guys don't know, this is Matt Weir, one of the owners of the restaurant.
Roughly 4 years ago, Chestertown purchased the marina for $2 million, believing it would serve as a benefit to the community and an economic engine for the revitalization of the downtown area, and we agree with this assessment. Because the marina floods badly, the town wants to raise the grade of the lowest ground between 18 and 24 inches. If we do not fill our land to the same grade, as Chris pointed out, we will become entrapped in a pond. This would not only be an eyesore, but it would seriously interfere with the business that we conduct at the Fish Whistle. We do not want to prevent the town from achieving its goals of revitalizing the marina, and as such, are willing to cooperate. Based on the town's own estimates provided to us, this is going to cost us roughly $100,000. In discussions with the mayor, we have reached an understanding that we would expand our deck space over the town-owned land, as Chris has pointed out, and we're hopeful that you will vote to approve this understanding. Our architect, Max Roman, will come up in just a moment and show you all some drawings detailing the plans. I would, however, like to make you aware of additional work we hope to accomplish during the same period, because as I'm sure you can imagine, we're going to be closed for a certain amount of time. We view the revitalized marina as a new and important chapter in Chestertown's history. Chestertown deserves a premier waterfront restaurant to attract visitors, provide excellent food to residents, and create a destination that will act as a draw for people to come back and visit the marina, dock their boats, buy fuel, and take advantage of the new gateway to town. Our plans are to utilize part of the deck expansion for fine dining, an outdoor bar, and most significantly a crab deck. I first came to Chestertown in 1986, and we used to drive to Rock Hall to get steamed crabs. How many times have you asked yourself, or been asked, where can I get steamed crabs in Chestertown? We hope to finally answer that question and stop the economic leakage that Chestertown is losing. We plan to make the deck space covered and be able to heat it so that we may get 3 long seasons of use. We hope to include perhaps a fireplace so people can gather comfortably. And working with Jeff Carroll and his great team, we hope to make some changes in the kitchen that may offer new menu options, while keeping the classics that the community knows and loves. Overall, we think we'll invest more than $500,000 into this property. We hope to do so because Chestertown is deserving of it. Chestertown made a big bet on the marina. It's clear. We think it's time to join the town in that risk and to create a first-class dining option to drive the economic activity that will ensure the success of the marina and the broader Chestertown economy.
What you're seeing up on the screen right now is an addition on the south end, the east end, and kind of the northeast corner of the Fish Whistle. On the south side, there's a deck area that extends about approximately 12 feet out from the existing face of the building. At the same time, it's covered by a flat roof, which slides underneath the existing eave overhang. And that roof really wraps around this whole area on the south and east side. On the northeast corner, this is the area where the crab deck will be. Most of that is an open area. Towards the back here is a bar area, another bar area for the restaurant. It is also covered, and then above, what you see here is the east deck, extending 12 feet out from the building. This piece right here that's actually the retaining wall that Crone has proposed to raise the grade around the fish whistle. And then you can see the surface, the darker surface here is the anticipated fill of the space between the water and the building. This is the east deck and covered area. And here you can see that's the existing posts of the deck. That's the new retaining wall. And the deck extends a little bit past that wall. That's okay. At the very corner here, the new deck would extend about 9'6" over the property line.
So conceptually, we're giving the property owners the easement
that allows them to expand their deck slightly over onto our property.
That's going to incentivize you to raise the grade of the fish whistle parking lot and to then make additional investments into the overall fish whistle property.
That's correct.
I just would like some assurance that these plans are accurate and they're not likely to change. I mean, I like these dimensions, that the plans that go to the Planning Commission will be substantially different in terms of the measurement of the easement that we're being asked to give.
I have no intention of sneaking a foot on the southeast corner. I can assure you of that. Jeff has just reminded me that I should also probably mention that assuming we're able to make this, when I spoke to other improvements that we want to make, we do have plans to revitalize the interior. What is the current bar would probably become a dining room. What is the current dining would probably become the bar. So there are other things afoot on the inside of the building to improve the space as well. But to answer your question, absolutely, we have worked with Bill, Chris, and Case diligently. You can imagine that we started a bit larger, and they pushed us back. And we are very comfortable with the dimensions as they exist today.
Good.
I make a motion that the fish whistle proceed to the Planning Commission for the renovations. Yes, conceptual approval for the easement, and then go to the Planning Commission with our blessing.
And I'll second, ultimately return, I think.
Is there a second?
I'm second.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let the record show we unanimously endorsed.
Thank you very much.